Welcome to Gray Overload. I'm Anthony, and this is very interesting. Nvidia is looking to make ARM-based CPUs that are going to try to compete with, Apple and Intel and AMD, right? Desktop CPUs, it looks like, or I would say just CPUs in general. I don't know if they'll go to the desktop. Maybe they'll start in mobile, more mobile stuff. But I think it'd be kind of cool to see. And I think that was one thing that Nvidia wanted with ARM was, you know, they wanted to have that so that they had the firepower to go after and basically having a controlling block of technologies to be able to attack Intel, especially, there's a lot of bad blood between Intel and Nvidia over the years. And so I think that they were looking to conquer that, especially with all the AI money that they've been getting. They're building up a war chest here, and being able to do that with an ARM, that would give us another architecture. Especially you have ARM on Windows that is already starting to grow a lot, each and every year. Microsoft is sticking by it. Linux will already run that as well. And if you could get something like that where you could also, use it for gaming and everything else, I think that would be a really interesting, prospect to see. If they had them in socketable CPUs, I might even try them throwing them in a desktop as well. I think that'd be kind of cool to see here. And this was from Reuters, and they said even AMD is planning to make PC chips with ARM technology as well. So, one thing I was thinking about is, AMD does have certain ARM technology they've already started using. I think one was for like their security process at one point and process stuff. So you start taking a look at this, would AMD, because they would have, even Intel has some ARM stuff, but you start looking at how these CPUs are going, right? AMD has what the 7040, which is using some FPGAs for some, AI acceleration stuff in their laptops. So they got some of their Xilinx stuff in there. Would AMD do another step? And I think this is the next logical step, is to put some of their faster cores and then their C cores on the same CPU along with their neural stuff. So along with their AI stuff or FPGA stuff, along with those accelerators. So now you got that in there. They have the GPU on there. They got some RDNA in there. Now let's take another step. Would you also create like an ARM cluster and throw those CPUs on there along with the IO die? You're starting to get all this IP onto one chip, and does that provide you with an ultra low power scenario for ARM? And then when you have to switch over to x86, it can run there. Maybe you don't even need to have the C cores if you have the ARM cores on there, right? These are things that I'm starting to think about that AMD has capable, or when they have all this IP, they can be capable of. Is this something, that maybe Intel's also trying to look at, because they have some GPU stuff, right? They have was Allegro Altera with their FPGA accelerators as well. They have CPUs, and they have some ARM licenses. So you start putting this all together. You could have a combination. You could have just an ARM. You could have just x86. You could have a combination of x86, combination of ARM x86, stuff like that. Which I think if Nvidia is going to come out with a CPU, this would also be another way to put pressure on Nvidia for that in the competition realm, right? And this would just be fun because it'd be driving competition more and more, right? And I would enjoy it, but I think it would give the consumer a lot more options. Now there's going to be a lot more testing on the dev side because you have to, test everything from ARM to combinations of whatever else there is. Who knows? As ARM CPUs get more and more powerful, and you could see them running, triple titles that then games that would have to be compiled, a whole bunch of stuff there, which would take a lot more time and effort to do. But especially if Microsoft's going to work on dev tools and say, we are committed to Windows on ARM and we want to force that forward and really start, taking advantage of some of that, all of a sudden, Microsoft is going to have to start putting a lot more effort into those dev tools. And they have done some of that, right? I'm a developer. I see some of that stuff coming along. But if they put the effort into a lot of this, all of a sudden I think it would take off a lot faster. And saying, we'll just compile it on all these. We'll make it easy to run tests across all these, all etc. Um, that would be a very interesting solution to be able to get the complicatedness of testing on all these different platforms, right? I mean, as a developer, you don't not only do you have to test on different OSs, you have to test on different CPUs and different platforms, different GPUs, all that other stuff, depending upon where your software runs, and it can get really hairy really quick if you, especially if you're cross-platform. So these are things where seeing Nvidia, the rumors of this, working on a PC CPU that would run Windows, and that would be, and them entering in the CPU market is a welcome addition to me, right? AMD putting on another architecture, I think, is a welcome addition. I'd like to see Intel as well do that, but as you watch it, right, there was a two company race for GPUs really, with Nvidia and AMD. Intel came in there, and Nvidia has dabbled with some ARM CPUs in the past, but now where this rumor is coming out and saying, hey, we're gonna come out, and the rumor is we're going to have something for Windows as well. Snapdragon's already had a Windows CPU out, and they've evolved on that through, I think, a few generations now. Um, it almost feels like, that when Intel entered in the GPU race, NVIDIA's like, well, I didn't want you to invade on my territory to begin with. And they could already had plans, but just kind of seeing it from afar, we're going to start trying to invade on yours. I know x86 license would be hard to get, but let's do ARM since they're licensing out, and let's go and do that. And looking at a fresh design here and doing something like that, NVIDIA does have an opportunity to put out something that might be able to compete a lot differently than what Intel's been able to do in the past, and even AMD in the x86 side, and maybe something a little bit different than Qualcomm's been able to provide Microsoft as well, right? NVIDIA has their GPU IP that they could add into these ARM CPUs and really create, dare I say, an APU that would be very performant for certain scenarios. So that's some of my thoughts on this. What are your thoughts on NVIDIA, beginning to design or maybe coming out with a CPU design that would support Windows and being able to use it? Would that be something that you're open to? Would you like to see it in a desktop application as well? Maybe a socketed CPU there, or would you just like to see it into a mobile scenario or a laptop scenario? So leave those in the comments below. Thank you so much for supporting Gray Overload and helping this channel grow. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Until next time, God bless.